All right, hello again. What in the world is going on here? Why would you put out a survey asking for parents to weigh in on the mask requirement if you were just going to defy us anyway? The parents spoke. You were even impressed with the response rate. Didn't you say it was around 2,000 responses? That's incredible. So I recall that the survey concluded that not even a close to comparable majority ruled for an optional mask school year in every single building. Why did you even ask for our opinions? Do you know how you have made the majority of parents in your district feel by turning your backs on them in this way? I'll tell you, we feel sick, betrayed, ignored, silenced, and honestly, a little embarrassed. To make us feel like we actually had a say on what goes on in an institution that houses our babies for the better hours of every day, 5 days a week, and then blatantly choose to do the opposite just days after attesting that you agreed with us? In the midst of this ridiculous clown show, we were all being forced to play a part, and every single day for the last 17 months, we'd finally felt like we could remove the red noses and maybe just take a front seat for a while. We felt like we were finally about to take our power back. I'm not here to discuss exemptions with you. I'm not here to remind you that putting a petri dish on a child's face for a sickness they are not affected by and do not categorically transmit is child abuse. I'm not even here to tell you that there are several districts whose superintendents have publicly stated that they will not enforce this mandate. I won't even shame and embarrass and silence you the way you have to the majority of people who pay your bills. I don't want to try to convince you that prevaricating is a pathetic way to make parents feel as though their children are in the right hands for 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm only here to let the majority know I stand with them, that there are so many of us who know that we can no longer trust the people we elected to be in charge, nor those who've been put in positions to basically raise our babies. We cannot trust that they will protect our children, care for them, always do what's in their best interest, or respect their health and bodily autonomy. You know what else I worry about? I worry that if our children become so used to just obeying authoritative figures who clearly don't have their best interest in mind, how will they ever defend themselves from worse kinds of predators? How will my child, who knows he is not sick, but is told by his teacher to put a cloth over his mouth and wouldn't do a single thing to protect him or anyone else anyway, reconcile in his mind when another person in a position of power does something more nefarious and tells him to keep it a secret, or else? I just think it is so ironic that we are normalizing covering a child's mouth, silencing them. Honestly, our compliance is what got us here. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Yeah, I know, the leading scientists who we're all just finding out are actually the ones who funded the lab this creepy virus was created and couldn't figure out whether we should wear masks or not, whether substantiated therapeutics were safe, who literally told us that it was safe to protest racial inequality by the hundreds because it posed a bigger risk to public health than COVID-19 are the ones we should trust with the safety measures for our babies. The same people whose guidelines instructed one of my clients to keep her veteran father's body in a freezer for months until it was safe to bury him with an attendance cap while they attended 3 separate memorial services for George Floyd with thousands in attendance. I mean, come on. Why are we still listening to these lunatics? They do not care about you, not me, not our babies. If they cared, they'd mandate jumping jacks and meditation. There wouldn't be a commercial every 6 minutes telling you that if you've taken and suffered from a medication they approved of 6 years ago, you could be eligible for compensation. There wouldn't be carcinogenic dyes in the food they sell in our grocery stores. Stop believing people who hurt us. Stop trusting people who tax you to death and then again after you die. Stop thinking that anyone knows better than you what's best for your babies. They've got us all so dependent on their bought and paid for research and brainwashed by their propaganda. I'm old enough to remember the Got Milk campaign. Did you know there are 50 million pus cells in 1 cup of milk? But I'm sure nobody knew that before they plastered the school hallways with pictures of milk mustaches and made them a staple on my lunch tray every day. Where someone would have told me dairy was the main cause of my bronchial flare-ups that landed me in the hospital for the majority of my childhood. Don't worry about it, though. They made their money and the hospitals made theirs. These people are evil. Evil. Stop listening to them. Do not comply with baseless mandates. Do not allow yourselves to be gaslit on a daily basis by the ever-changing facts of the nefarious few. Do not make your children believe they have to listen to a mandate that not only makes no sense, but makes them uncomfortable. Do not teach them that all non-compliance is dangerous defiance. Do not send them to a building that follows an order where a spit and booger-filled cloth is needed to be placed on their breathing holes to protect them from a virus that doesn't even affect them. Change the way we are programmed to think, because this is where it's gotten us. And because I believe you're actually a reasonable group, I ask you, when and how do you think this ends? What's the next mandate? When does it become your job to protect these kids? Face it, if the TV didn't tell you, nobody would know COVID-19 was a thing. Our children are entitled to an education, and that does not change whether they have a dirty rag on their beautiful little faces or not. That's it.
That's it.